But if you are using Atom or Sublime Text, it's absolutely fine. Okay. So first of all, the first command I want to talk about is git init. What this does is it tells Git that you have to watch this particular folder for any changes that we make in the future. Right. So you get a message like initialize empty Git repository and the path of the file. And what you get is .git folder. So after I write this command, what Git does is it creates a hidden folder. I can show you. It is .git, and all the configuration files for Git are there in this folder, right? So let's start. A Git status tells us what is the status of the at that particular moment. So on the master branch, there is no commit yet. So what Git does is like after we code something, we add it to the staging area. So just a minute. So if we modify something and then basically there are three areas, right? Once we do some code, we make modifications in our code, then we use a command called git add dot. And what it does is it takes the code and places the code in the staging area, right? And after we write git commit, what it does is it takes a snapshot of our code, right? So let me practically depict what I mean to say. See if I create a new file. So most of you must be knowing HTML, I assume. And if you don't know, there is no issue. This is basic HTML code. So I'll be using the h1 tag that is used for headings. Right. So what I did is I added a new file to our repository. A repository is generally a folder. So what I did is I added a new file to my repository, and now I will type git status. So see what it did is we have untracked files. So what I mean to say is we modified some changes, but we haven't added to the staging area. So Git is not tracking that file. So it is giving us the message that we have untracked files in our repository. Now I will write git add and dot. What does this dot practically means that everything in this folder I want to add it to the staging area. Right. So now let's write git status. So now it is telling us we are already tracking files, but we have the changes. We have not taken the snapshot, right? We have not committed those files to the Git. Okay. So now let me commit the files. So the syntax for committing the files is git commit, and we write a message, right? So dash m commit one. So what Git is telling us, right? We have made changes to one file, and we have made 10 insertions. So what we did is we modified some code, we added the code to the staging area, and then we took the snapshot of our code and stored it. So we have one version of our code with us. So if I want to see all the commits that I have made, so there's a command git log. See, so what Git does is it stores a SHA hex for each commit that we make. So this is a unique identification for every commit. It was made by me on this particular day. So let me make one more commit. Let me do some changes first. We have one untracked file. We added it into the staging area and we committed that change. This is These are the basics of Git. We will just finish it within half an hour and we will then move on to the next part. Okay. So now I told you that Git stores versions of our code. So now if I actually this was not the correct thing that I wanted to do, and I wanted to go back to the previous version of the code which did not contain this line. So I will do it using. So first I need which commit I want to go to. So git log and we add dash one line so that we don't get a very big log, only the SHA characters and the name of the commit. C. So I now want to go to the first commit that I made. So I'll copy the hex code. I will go to that commit. The command I will use is git checkout and I will paste the SHA hex of that commit. See now, that line is gone and and now presently I'm a detached head state. So I won't go into detail what is the detached head, but I will share links where you can study this basically theory part, right? So we are in the detached head state now. And if I want to go back to whichever state I was previously, I will use git checkout and master. Understood. Git basically what Git does is it stores snapshot of our codes at particular instances of time so that if at any instant we might need to go back or after we complete a task successfully, we save that particular part of our code so that if any changes we do in the future and if and the entire thing goes wrong, we can actually revert all those changes and go back to the state at which we want to again work, right? So this was git add, git commit. Now I want to come to basically what is known as branching. So just a second. So what actually Git does is when we initialize a Git repository, entire code we write is on the master branch. So master branch is the main branch on which the entire finalized code that we have lives. So let this be the master branch, right? So what we did is we made a commit one, C1, and what we did is we made a commit two. So now instead of writing code on a master branch, what the practice is that we create sub branches. So if I create a sub branch, assume usual one, and now I will code everything on this branch so that the branch of the code on the master branch, if I made any errors on this branch or if the code doesn't work, the master branch will remain unaffected and the deployed code will not get affected at all. So the general practice is we let the master branch remain isolated from any new code that we type, and once we achieve, like if I had to do a task of writing three p tags in this branch, so I wrote three p tags, I made any number of commits that I wanted, and what I will do is I will finally merge these two branches so that the entire code that I write on this branch comes to this branch, and there will be a merge commit. So any issues till now, you can write in the chat box. Okay, fine. So I'm continuing. So now the way we create a new branch is using basically two commands. First, you create a branch, and then we check out to that branch. So get branch, and let the name of the branch be user one. Okay, so we have now created a branch, but we are still on the master branch. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to switch to the new branch that I created and code everything from there. Okay. So what I will do is get. We will again use the checkout command, but instead of using it with a SHA hex, we will use it with the name of the branch that we had created. Okay. So now there is one more way we can create a branch. We're using just one command. I will tell it to you later. So now we have switched to the new branch that we created, and let me make some comments. I made commit 3. Okay. So I made some changes in the file, and again I'm committing those changes. So I add those changes to the staging area, and I'm committing those changes. Okay. So let's debug what the state presently is. So we had the initial commits on the master branch, and then I made the third commit on Ujjwal 1 branch. So the master branch is unaffected, and we are making changes to the code, right? So now what I want to do is I want to merge these two branches so I've tested the code, it is working fine. So let me run it on the live server. So I've tested the code, it is working fine. Now what I want to do is I want to merge this code to the master branch so that the master branch also has the same code, right? So first, there's one more command I want to talk about before I talk about the merge. That is get branch hyphen a. So what this command does is it lists all the branches that we have. So presently we are having two branches. We are having the master branch and we are having the Ujjwal one branch, right? Now I want to merge the code that we have on the Ujjwal one branch, which is one commit ahead to the master branch. So how do I do that? First, I switch to the branch to whom I want to merge. So I want to merge to the master branch. So I will switch to the master branch using the command get checkout master. Right. So see, on the master branch, we just have two commits. And the third commit we made was on the Ujjwal one branch. So when I switch to the master branch, the third commit is gone because that code is still on the Ujjwal one branch. So what do I want to do now is I want to merge the changes that I made in the Ujjwal one branch to the master branch. So what I will do is I will write the command get merge the you can see what happened actually. We are still on the master branch, and what we got the message fast forward merge, and we made one add insertion to the code in the master branch in the same file. So now if I write git log, it will show all our commits. So we have one commit, two commit we made on the master branch, and one commit we merged using the Ujjwal one branch to the master branch, right? This is what is branching. We create separate branches in our code. We modify the code in those branches so that the code of the master branch does not get affected if we face any errors in the uh, new branches while modifying our code. So the master branch remain intact, and generally the code that is deployed is using the master branch. So if we make any errors while modifying the code, and so the master branch will get affected, and all the people using our application will not be able to use it because the code base will fail. So what we do is we made all the modifications on the on subsidiary branches that we create. We check our code and then we merge the entire thing with our master branch so that the code in our master branch is unaffected if we make any errors while modifying the code. Right. So now the final thing in branching, this is fast forward strategy. The merge was made using fast forward strategy. Using it, you can say. So there are two strategies: fast forward strategy and recursive strategy. Fast forward strategy was used here because when I made that branch, I made commits to the Ujjwal branch. While I was making commits to the Ujjwal branch, I did not make any other commit in the master branch. So the master branch code remained the same from the instance Ujjwal branch was created, right? So let me depict this now. So we created Ujjwal branch from the state. The master branch was at commit 2. And after making the changes in the Ujjwal branch, when we merged those changes, we did not make any further commits or change the code in the master branch. So what Git did is modify it merged the two branches using fast forward strategy. Now the second strategy is recursive strategy. So let me tell you what is recursive strategy. So now if I make another branch, just a second. If I make another branch, so now I want to. Initially, we made the branch using two commands. We used just a second. We used two commands: get branch Ujjwal one, and then we checked out to the branch we created. Get checkout Ujjwal one, right? So now I want to create that branch and check out using the same command one. So the shortcut command is get checkout dash b Ujjwal 2. So we are creating a new branch name Ujjwal 2, and we are checking out to the new branch using the same command. See, so switch to the new branch Ujjwal 2. So I created the new branch also, and I switched to the new branch using the same command. So now I will make some changes here. So I will add those changes to the staging area, and I will take a snapshot of those changes using these git add dot and git command dash in. uh, you can write any messages. I'm writing these messages in a cryptic way so that we are able to understand what is going on. Okay. So now what I did is, just a second. So Ujjwal one branch was as commit 3. We merged master. Just a second. We merged the master branch with the Ujjwal one branch. So the master branch is at commit 3, and now we created a new branch. Ujjwal 2, and we made a fourth commit ID C4. Now what I will do is I will create a new commit on the master branch. So let's check out to the master branch. Check out master. Okay, so now I will make a new commit to the master branch. So see the fourth commit is gone. So what I will do is I will make a commit on 29. I will add those changes basically. I will take a snapshot of these changes as well. So this is commit 5 and we made it on the master branch. Now the scenario is at commit 3 we created a new branch as well 2. We added a new commit to the Usual 2 branch and master branch is unaware of that commit. And now we made a commit on the master branch, that is C5, and Usual 2 branch is unaware of that commit, right? So now if I merge these two branches, these will not merge using the fast forward strategy because when we merged Ujjwal 1, we didn't make any changes to the master branch. But now when we are merging Ujjwal 2, we had already made changes to the master branch. So now the strategy used will be recursive strategy. Okay, so let me merge the two branches. Git merge. I was already on the master branch and I want to merge the Ujjwal 2 branch with the master branch. So it will ask me for a message. Now as we are using recursive strategy, it will ask me for a message. See merge made using recursive strategy. Demo1.html, we made one insertion to that file. Okay. So now let me do git log. See, commit 1, commit 2. Then we made a third commit on Ujjwal 1. Then we made a fourth commit on Ujjwal 2. Then we made a fifth commit on the master. And then we merged the master and the Ujjwal 2 branch. So this is the commit log that we will obtain. Okay. So just one concept that is left in the branching part is we have to talk about the merge conflicts. So what are merge conflicts? Just a second. Now, after I have this line which I coded in the Ujjwal 2 branch, right? So after I came to the master branch, the changes I made was in the 8th line, which Ujjwal 2 branch already had in the same state as the master branch. But the 11th line of code, master branch did contain the 11th line of code, and but the 11th line of code on the master branch was not the same as the 11th line of code on Ujjwal 2 branch. So if I, after I made the commit on Ujjwal 2 branch in which I changed the 11th line, and if I made a similar commit on the master branch after making that commit on the Ujjwal 2 branch with the same line. So it's getting a little confusing. Let me practically depict what I mean to say. So let me create a third branch. So I made a third branch and I am making changes to, let's say, the ninth line of our code. I saved the changes. I added the changes to the staging area. I took a snapshot of those changes. Just need to commit it. So, okay. So now I made change to the ninth line of our code. So now if I switch to the master branch, see the ninth line of the code is restored in the previous state because this commit was not made on the master branch. And on the master branch, after I have made the commit on the new branch, changing the ninth line, if I'm on the master branch, I again make a change, changing the same line of code. So I write master aware. Again, I add these changes to the staging area and I merge these changes. Commit 7 and the master branch. Okay, now let's just talk about this particular branch. So I'm doing the other branches. So our code was at C5 presently. So now what I did is created a branch. So I created a branch at C5 name as well 3. I made a commit C6 changing the line of our code. And then on the master branch I made another commit C7 and I changed the same line as the ninth line. So what happens now is Git doesn't know when it merges the two files that which code it has to keep and which code it has to ignore. Because we have changed the same line in the master branch also and in the new branch that we had created. So what it will show is a merge conflict. Yes. We are already on the master branch and we have to merge the usual three branches, right? Good. Merge. See, we get a merge conflict and Git shows us two states, which is the current state of our file on the master branch, and it shows the incoming change. That is, in the incoming change, we are asking it to write commit to usual 3, and in the already the code that is on the master branch, we are telling it to write commit to master. So it will ask us which change do I have to keep. So what we can do is accept the current change. What it will do is it will accept commit to master. The second option is accept incoming change. What it will do is uh, accept commit to usual 3. We can accept both the changes as well and we can compare those changes as well. So what I will do currently is accept the current change, but you can explore the other options while trying yourself. Okay, so now but now still we have to make a addition and a commit because Git was not sure which code it had to keep, so it gave us the option to choose which code do we have to keep. So it wasn't able to commit and add the files and commit the file. So now we have obtained a final state in which we have resolved the conflict between the two branches, and now we will finally add the branch to the staging area and merge it again. So this was the entire um, Git workflow that I wanted to show you.
उज्जवल एक सेकेंड.
Okay.
किसी को कोई डाउट है तो वो पूछ सकता है उज्जवल से.
We have finished the branching part. If anyone has a doubt, you can ask me. Someone is asking about the push command. Actually, we will talk about the push command after we come to GitHub. We are just talking about Git right now. Okay, so no one has any issues, so we'll continue. So finally, we can see our log. We have commit 1, commit 2, commit 3 we made on the Ujjwal 1 branch, commit 4 we made on the Ujjwal 2 branch, then commit 5 we made on the master branch, and then we merged the master branch with the Ujjwal 2 branch, and this merge was done using the recursive strategy. Okay. Then we made a commit 6 on the Ujjwal 3 branch, Then we made a commit 7 on the master branch, and we changed the same line so that we would get a conflict, and then we resolved the conflict and we made a final merge that we have merged the two branches. Right. So this is the entire Git workflow that you need to know about just the basics, and these are sufficient for the time being, right? Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to talk about GitHub. So what is GitHub? GitHub is basically a online platform where people can collaborate and code together. Okay. So GitHub GitHub on GitHub we can make repositories on GitHub, and we can upload our code, and anyone having an account on GitHub can see our code, view our code, can collaborate with us and help us complete that project. So this is presently my GitHub profile. I have presently 42 repositories. Okay. So what is a repository? I've already told you. A repository is a folder in which we have code. Okay. So we have a remote. Just a second. Even the thing we made, and we initialized the folder Git workshop with Git in it. So this is also a repository which is currently being tracked by GitHub. Git. So what we can do is what this is known as a remote repository because it is on a local computer, right? So so what we can do is we can commit the repository on a local computer with the repository on GitHub. Okay, so what we can do is we can make a new repository. So I'm making that repository on the ACM account. You can create a repository on your own account. There are no issues. I'm just creating the repository on the ACM account so that the tasks that we give at the end of the workshop, you are able to collaborate in that. So when we have to create a repository, we have to specify a few things. We have to specify the repository name. Okay. We have to give a description. For the time being, I'm going to leave it. So now we are given two options: whether do we want to make it a public repository or we want to make it a private repository. Public repositories, anyone who has account of GitHub will be able to view your code. And a private repository is only you will be able to view your code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a public repository. Then initialize the repository with, we are given three kinds of files. Basically, it is a readme file, it is a git ignore file, and this is a license. So I'm going to talk about these files in the just in a minute. So I'm going to create a repository without having any of these three files. So I will create a repository. Right. So after I create a repository, I am given with this command code base. So what I actually want to do is I want to use git remote add origin. I will tell you the meaning of each word in this command. Okay. First, let me copy these code. So it's better at type. So the command is git remote. What are remotes? So each repository that we make on GitHub, it has a link. So this is the link you can see: https github.com acm thapper github workshop 2020.git. So this is the link via which we connect these two repositories, which we have on our computer and the one which is on GitHub, right? So what we are doing is we are saying git remote, and we are adding a remote, and the name is origin. So origin is the default remote that we use while creating a repository on GitHub and connecting to the local repository that we have. And what we write is git remote add. We are adding a remote that is origin, and the remote will point towards this URL. Now the remote is added. Just a second, guys. Now we have added the remote. Now comes git push. So now we have added a remote origin that is pointing to the repository that we have on GitHub. Now what I want to do is all the code that I have locally, I want to push it to the repository that I have on GitHub. So I will use the command git push origin master. I want to push the command to the origin remote, and I want to push the branch master. So what GitHub will do, it will ask me for my username, it will ask me for my password, and it will push all the changes up. Let me refresh this page. See, I made this file locally, and I have this file on GitHub. So this is the way that we commit all the changes that we made locally on our computer to our repository on GitHub. Now anyone who has a repository on GitHub can view these changes. Can view the code base that we have on this repository. Now what I will do is I will create a README file, but I will not create it on the local repository that I have on my computer. I will create it on GitHub. So what is the README file? README file basically tells us what all do we have in a repository. It is basically the introduction or introduction about the repository that we have on GitHub. That what kind of code is there in this repository, what all, who all are the contributors, what are the runtime instructions if you want to clone the code. Okay, so we'll commit these things. I will commit them directly to the master branch. I have created a README file. So see, I have two files here, and it is telling me this is GitHub Workshop 2020. I will show you, definitely. I will show you better README files in a while. But initially, now what I want to show is that now we have a file that is on the repository that we have on GitHub, but we don't have the same change on our local repository in our computer. So if I want to bring all the changes that have happened on GitHub into our local computer so that we can modify those changes and we have the latest code base, the command I will use is git pull. Similar way we push the code, now we are pulling the code from GitHub. So we are writing git pull and pull from origin remote and the master branch. So you can see the README file was added here as well. So basically, we have discussed git pull and git push. Git push is used to push the code that we have locally on our computer to GitHub, and git pull is used to pull the code that we have on GitHub. And so let me give a scenario. Like I and Siddharth were working on this project, and I added this demo.html file, and later on Siddharth pushed the README file to GitHub. So I don't have that README file. So before making any other changes, now today I was assigned a task to add an navbar to the HTML file. So before I start coding, first I will pull all the changes that Siddharth has made before I make the new modifications. So this is how we collaborate on GitHub. So two people, even people sitting in other countries as well can collaborate. Okay, so we have talked about git push and git pull. Now what I want to show you is git clone. So let us assume, just a second. Let us assume this was not my project. I'm deleting the folder. Okay. So this is not some project. I am surfing GitHub and I see this project and I want to contribute in this project. So I don't have any code base of this project from from I don't have any code base of this project beforehand. So if I want to collaborate with this, if I want to have this code on my local computer, what I will do is I will write the command git clone. I want to clone this repository locally, and I will copy this URL. This is the URL of the repository. I will copy this URL. What it did is it's cloned the entire code from GitHub to my local computer. And now I can again view the code base. Okay. So I can again view the changes. Now I will follow the same procedure. Like I made make the change. Will follow exactly the same procedure that we did. I will add these changes. I will commit these changes. Okay. Now this time I don't have to write the don't have to configure the origin remote because when we clone a repository, GitHub by default sets the origin remote to the point to the repository itself. So I just have to use the command git push origin master. Ask for my username, password. So after I refresh this page, you will see commit 8 was the latest commit made to this file. And what I did is I added isolate after cloning. This was the changes that I made. If I open this file, this is commit 8. Right. So I have completed git clone, git push, and git pull. If any one of you has any issues, we can discuss. I want to add there is a GUI version of Git, but please never use it. Use the command line for any Git operations that you want to do. Okay, so now let's move to forking. Actually, Paris is asking why don't we use why we should not the Git GUI because first of all, as developers, you should be friendly with the command line. So you should avoid using any GUI instances or any program that you feel because most of the software that you will use in the future will not have the GUI interfaces. So be comfortable with the command line as much as possible. And secondly, Git UI has various bugs when it comes to merging the branch, the rebasing things, right? So often it happens that the entire code base gets uh, while merging gets destroyed, or the merges don't happen properly, and what happens is that code base fails. This generally okay, okay, Paras. So now I told you we can clone.
Instead of asking in chat, you can speak.
Any
It
one
will
of
make
you
the
can
class
unmute
more
and speak,
interactive.
no issues. So now I told you about cloning a repository locally. What we can do is we can even clone a repository on our GitHub. So just a second. So I am going to again
Ujjwal,
delete this repository.
Ujjwal,
Yes, Priyanshu.
आई वांट टू आस्क यू कि कोई भी रेपो जो पब्लिक होगी क्या तो बेसिकली हम उसको क्लोन कर सकते हैं अगर कोई भी पब्लिक होती है या देयर सम
हाँ, कोई भी
परमिशन यू आर
पब्लिक
लिखिंग
रेपॉजिटरी है उसको हम पुल ऑन कर सकते हैं. अच्छा, लेट मी एक्सप्लोर गिटहब बिफोर आई proceed further. Okay, so let me go back to my account. Um, okay, so this project is a blockchain project that I made. So what you can do is I'm sharing the clone URL in the chat. Have you installed Git on your computer? This is a public repository of mine. You can write git clone and clone this repository and explore it. Okay, so similarly, we can explore any account. Like you must be know Linus Torvalds, right?
If we are cloning any repository, can we push the code also?
Huh? No, you
If
cannot
we are
push the code. Okay, a good question. Right. So if the repository is owned by me, I was coming to that part, but let me explain it. So this is my repository, so I can only push code unless I add you as a collaborator. But a second workflow is unless forking a repository. I will tell you that that is the final thing that I want to cover in the workshop. So I will tell you about forking a repository, and we can contribute to open source by the forking workflow. So you cannot push code directly, but you can create branches and push code. And I will see review that code and merge it with my master branch if I feel that the code is good. That is a different workflow that I will cover. But let's explore GitHub before that. So like if I want to explore the account of Facebook, see Facebook has an account and it has very big repositories. How many of you know React? Many of you must be knowing React. So see, this is the code base of React, and the last commit that was made was 14 hours ago, and these are the issues. So if on a repository I feel that some code is not working or this part of my code is not working, what I do is I create an issue. So after I create an issue, people can see what is the issue and they can contribute by solving that issue. So this is the entire open source workflow that people do. You see where you raise an issue, people see what is the issue, and if they can solve it, they solve the issue, and they solve it using pull request. So I will come to this part later. So this is the code base of React. It is a public repository. Similarly, just a second. This is the code of Linux kernel. Okay. So similarly, you can explore any code. He is Linus Torvalds. This is the same person who invented Linux. He invented Git. God of computing. Okay, right. So now let's come to fork. So I will switch to the ASM repository. So I created this repository, GitHub Workshop 2020. So I cloned this repository locally. But if uh, I just assume that I didn't know about such repository that existed, and I'm surfing GitHub, and I find this repository, and I want to contribute to this repository, but I am not a member of this organization, right? I'm not a member of this organization, so I will not be able to push the code directly because I won't have any privileges. So how can I contribute? So I can contribute. I will fork this repository, my account. So see, it has forked the original repository that was ACM Thakur GitHub Workshop 2020 to Spectre 25 GitHub Workshop 2020. So it has cloned that repository. So it has created a new repository in my account, which is a clone of the existing repository, and it is forked from the original repository, right? So I am going to tell now the entire workflow how we can contribute to any repository that we want. So what I will do is I will clone this repository, which is in turn the clone of GitHub Workshop 2020 that is originally created by ACM Thakur. Right. So I will clone. I will again delete this repository. I will clone this repository. I will use the command git clone and I will paste the URL. See, now the URL is Spectre25, that is my GitHub username, and the workshop and the name of the repository. So now what I have done is I have cloned a forked repository. Please don't get confused. Here the things might get confusing. So again I will open my code editor. So I like this repository, just assume, and I want to make changes in this code. So what I will do is I will first create a branch. I can make changes to the master branch, but as I have told you, please use branches. I will create a branch. Let the branch name be feature A. Okay, so I've switched to a new branch. What I will do is I will make some changes. Okay, I've made a change. I will commit the change. I added the change. Now I will commit the change. So now what I will do instead of pushing my master branch to the origin remote, so now the origin remote does not point towards the ACM Thakur, it points towards Spectre 25 GitHub Workshop 2020, right? So I will push the entire new branch that I've created to the fork repository. So git push origin, that will point towards the forked repository origin now, and the branch name, that is feature A. I'm not pushing the master branch, I'm pushing the feature A branch. Please note this. Okay. So now this is a very important aspect now. as soon as I push the new branch, I get a notification has some recent changes, create, compare, and pull request. So now when I create, what is a pull request? Now pull request is it will compare the code of the master branch of the head repository, C, base repository. Okay. So the two comparisons that are presently going on is between the master of the original repository, that is ACM Thapar GitHub Workshop 2020, to the feature branch A of the head repository, that is the forked one. So if I raise this pull request, create a pull request. So see, where is the pull request created? It is created in the main repository, that is ACM GitHub Workshop 2020, right? And the pull request is add more commits by pushing to the feature A branch. No, this is not adding to it. That is C. Wants to merge one commit from ACM Thapar, master Thapar. Acha. So what the pull request wants to do is it wants to merge one commit to the ACM Thapar master from the Spectre 25 feature A. So from the feature A branch that I have coded in the forked repository, it wants to merge the change to the original repository's master branch. Right. So I'm having this merge access because I'm a member of just a second. See, I'm a member of ACM Thapar organization. So I'm having the merge access, but you, if you're coding it as an anonymous user, as a user who is already not a member, you won't have this access to merge. Okay, so let me go to the entire workflow again. I was surfing the internet. I found this repository which I felt was good and I could contribute in it. So what I did is I forked the repository. I forked the repository and created a clone of that repository on my GitHub account, right? And I cloned this forked repository on my local computer. Then I made the changes, and then what I did, I created a branch. I created a new branch so that the master branch remains unaffected. I created a new branch. I made some commits to the code, and what I did, I finally pushed the new branch that I created. So I didn't push the master branch. I did merge the branch in the master branch. What I did is I just pushed the raw branch to GitHub. So what it did was it merged. Now after I pushed this branch, it showed me that I can compare and raise a pull request that will compare the new branch that I've pushed to the fork repository to the master branch of the original ACM Thapar repository, right? And I raised a pull request. I raised a pull request. Now my account. So let's assume this was Siddharth's account, and he is not already a member of ACM Thapar org on GitHub. So he forked the code. He made a new branch. He made some commits. He pushed the code, and now what we have is, and now he created a pull request to ACM Thapar's original repository. Now I saw the pull request. I thought that the code was good and was capable of being merged to the master branch of my main repository. So I merged this master branch. I added a message, commit from phones repos. So the message is fine. So I confirm the merge. See, you are all set. The Spectre 25 feature A branch can be safely deleted if you wish. So now what happened is I created a merge commit and I merged the new branch that was by Spectre 25 and the branch name was feature A to the master branch of ACM Thakar's main repository, right? So once I go to the code now, so I will delete this branch because I don't have any use of it now. So I'll delete this branch and see the latest commit was commit to formed repos feature A branch. This was the commit that I made on Spectre 25's new branch that I created. And we have the commit here, right? So do you want to re-identify me to reiterate this process? Do you have any confusion with the entire process?
अगर हम किसी का कोड फॉक करें और मेन अकाउंट में कोड चेंज हो जाए तो वो ऑटोमेटिकली हमारे अकाउंट में भी रिफ्लेक्ट करता है।
नहीं नहीं, वो भी बताने जाऊंगी।
अच्छा।
और कोई कंफ्यूजन हो, अगर वापस समझाना हो तो बता दो। नो इश्यूज। Okay, so I am continuing further. So now, two things. So let's go back to the branch. See now, these are two separate repositories. Just the case is this repository is a forked repository, that is, it a cloned repository of the original repository, right? So what I did is, on this repository I created a branch, and I merged that branch with the master branch of the original repository. But the master branch of this repository is still, so these are two different master branches, right? This is a different repository, and this is a different repository on two different accounts. So the master branch of this this GitHub repository has no relation with the master branch of this GitHub repository. So I merged the feature A branch that I created on the forked repository with the master branch of the original repository, but I did not merge it with the master branch of the forked repository. Right. So just in case. Okay. So like, this is the original repository. This is the forked repository. Okay. So this is the master branch. This is the feature A branch, and this is the master branch. I push the master branch, and I merge the feature A branch. I merge the feature A branch with the master branch of the original repository. Okay. So this branch has the code, latest code, but this branch still doesn't have the latest code. Okay, nor the local repository that I have. These are three separate identities. Don't try to plug in. This is the local repository that I have on my PC. It also has a master branch, and it also has a feature A branch. Okay. So the master branch of this repository also doesn't have the code that is in the master branch of this repository, right? Because we haven't merged the feature A branch with the master branch of the forked repo, nor have we merged the feature A branch locally with the master branch. So what do we do so that we have the latest code every time we start coding? So you remember the origin remote. So this repository has the origin remote. Locally we have one remote. We have the origin remote, which points towards the forked repository. Okay. Now, just a second, guys. Now, what we will do is, we will create a new remote locally that will by the name of upstream. This is the convention that we follow. You can use any name. Okay. So we will create a new remote locally that will point towards this repository. Okay. So, and what we will do is, after we push the branch, we will merge that branch with the master branch of the main repository, and we will pull the code of the master branch in the master branch of this branch. So this repository has the latest code. The master branch of the original repository has the latest code. What we will do is, locally we will pull will will write git pull, not origin master, will write git pull upstream master, right? Sorry, I made an error. Sorry, we will not write git pull upstream master. In fact, we will use two different commands. Uh, Sorry, I made a mistake. So just a second. So first, let me add the remote. Then I will rectify the error that I made just now. So I will copy the URL of this repository. Git add remote upstream. I want to add a remote name upstream, and it will point towards this URL. Sorry, git remote add. So see, we have two remotes. We have the origin remote, which is pointing towards the forked repository, and we have the upstream remote that is pointing towards the main repository, right? So what we will do is we will fetch the code from the main repository. This is the new command that I'm talking about. It's git fetch. Okay, and we will. So it will do is, let me show you. See, what it did was it created a new branch, upstream and master, right? So what we will do is git merge upstream master branch. The master branch of the upstream remote contains the latest code, and we want to merge the branch of the upstream, master branch of the upstream with the code we have locally. So it merged the code, right? So now we have all the code that is on this branch. So let me reiterate the entire process again. Now, what I will do is, now just assume yesterday I coded, I merged those changes, I fetched those changes. Now today I again want to start coding in this repository, but I don't know whether some other person has coded some other thing and has merged the code with the master branch of this repository or not. Okay. So what I do every time I start coding is I fetch all the changes that have been done. I merge the changes, and this ensures me that every time I start coding on a particular repository, I have the latest code at that particular instance. Now I will create a branch. Yes, sorry. Actually, what I did is I merged the entire code to the feature A branch. This was the error, sorry. So I will switch to the master branch. Okay, so this is the master branch of the forked repository. Every time I start coding, I will fetch the code on the upstream. Sorry. Fetch upstream. Okay. Merge. So today I started coding, so I want to ensure that from the point I start coding, I have the latest code at that particular instant on the repository. So I fetch the code. I merge the code with I merge the upstream branch of the main code with my master branch locally. So this ensured that I have the latest code after from the point I start coding. So now I will create a new branch again. Uh, Sorry, git checkout dash b, and the branch name is feature b. I created a new branch. I will make some changes to the code. Okay, I made the changes, so I will add the changes to the staging area. Okay, so now I made the changes and I will push this particular branch to GitHub. Okay, so git push. I will push it to the fog repository. Origin, feature, okay, so now I've pushed the new branch up. I got the notification that we have a new branch here and we want to make some, and we can compare it with the master branch of the original repo. So I will compare it with the master branch of the original repo and I will create this pull request. Okay, I will create this pull request. Now what I will do is I will refresh the original repo's code and I see I have one new pull request. So I go here and assume that now I am the organization. I am not the person who raised the pull request. So now I am the organization. Just a second. I see that a new pull request has been raised to my code and I see all the new changes. I review the changes and I feel that the changes are good. So the organization will merge the code. Okay. So organization merge the code and the organization's main repository की master branch पे all the new code is there. Right, so the new code commit 10 fork repo feature B, we have this code here. But if I switch to the master branch of the local repository that I have on my computer, you can see it right now. Okay. So now we are on the feature B branch, but if I hit checkout master, okay, yes, so I switch to the master branch. I won't have this. Okay, see, now I don't have the commit 10 that I made because that code is on the feature B branch locally and that code is on the master branch of the main GitHub workshop repo 2020. So now I will again fetch the upstream. Upstream will point towards this repository. Just a second. So I will, what I will do is I will fetch upstream. I will fetch upstream and I will merge the master branch of the upstream remote with the master branch of our local repository. It merge upstream master. Okay, I have merged and see the commit 10 appears now. So this ensures that before we start coding, we have all the latest changes that we make locally. Right. Okay, so let's solve one more issue. So we had two issues. We had the issue that didn't have the latest code on the master branch locally. So we created a new remote and we have the code on the master branch locally, but we still don't have the code, latest code on the forked repos master branch, right? Okay, so this solution is pretty easy. We have the upstream remote points towards the forked branch, right? So if we want to have the latest code on the master branch of the forked repo, we fetch the upstream code, so now we have the latest code after merging it. So if we do git push origin master, so the master branch we have locally has the latest code, and now the branch of the forked repository also has the latest code. So if we push origin remote points towards the forked repository, and if we push our local master branch to the forked repository, all our issues will be solved because then The forked repository's master branch will also have the latest code. Now let's see. This is the forked repository, and see we get the notification this branch is even with ACM Thapa's master branch. So the master branch of ACM Thapa's Git repository and the master branch of the forked repository are even now because they are at the same level of commits. Right. So this was the entire workflow. If we want to contribute in a repository that is on GitHub and we are not a member of that or we don't have any pushing rights to that repository. So we can fork the repository, we can raise a branch, we can push the code, and the code owner will check the branch. He will review the changes and he will merge the branch. Now, if you want to again make changes, we'll fetch the entire thing from the master branch of the main repository. We'll merge it with the branch we have locally on our repository, on our personal computer, and then we'll again encode. Right. So this is the entire GitHub workflow. We call it the upstream workflow. So any other issues, anything that you didn't understand till now? Anyone? Okay, if you have understood what I said, please write a message in the chat box.
अपस्ट्रीम मोड जो है वो किसको पॉइंट करता है, ओनर को या फिर फोर्क रिपोजिटरी को?
हाँ, आई विल एक्सप्लेन इट. जो ओरिजिन रिमोट था वो हमारी फॉर्क रेपोजिटरी को पॉइंट कर रहा था जो हमने फॉर्क करी थी मेन से, और जो अपस्ट्रीम रिमोट था वो हमारी मेन रेपोजिटरी जो एसीएम थापर की गिटहब पोर्टल पे थी उसको पॉइंट कर रहा था.
ओके.
Ayush, do you want me to explain the procedure again?
No, I don't.
Harsh Garg is asking you use dash u. Okay, that's your task, Harsh. You will find what the dash u flag meant and you will post it in the community channel of Slack. That what did that flag mean? You can Google it. It's a very trivial thing. Okay, so again I want to repeat that if you have understood everything that I talked, please write yes in the chat box.
हम मास्टर रिमोट में ही वो मेन डायरेक्टरी का कोड वो नहीं कर सकते मर्ज?
क्या कह रहे हो? सिर्फ
हम मास्टर रिमोट में ही जैसे दो होते हैं ना,
मास्टर इज नॉट अ रिमोट,
ओरिजिन रिमोट,
हाँ
सॉरी,
ओरिजिन रिमोट में
तो उसमें हम मेन डायरेक्टरी से सीधे मर्ज नहीं कर सकते, हमें अपस्ट्रीम बनाने की जरूरत क्यों पड़ी अलग से?
अपस्ट्रीम बनाने की मतलब मैं समझा नहीं तुम क्या कह रहे हो. हम ओरिजिन में मर्ज नहीं कर सकते यार. देख, ओरिजिन हमारी, मैंने आई एक्सप्लेन कि ये 3 अलग अलग रेपोजिटरी है, ठीक है. फाइनली जो चेंज होना है वो ओरिजिनल रेपोजिटरी में होना है क्योंकि हम उसको ही कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं, लेकिन हम उसमें डायरेक्टली पुश नहीं मार सकते क्योंकि वो हमारी रेपोजिटरी नहीं है, ठीक है. हम उसका कोड कॉपी कर लेते हैं, फॉर्क कर लेते हैं, लेकिन फॉर्किंग इज नॉट जस्ट सिंपली कॉपिंग, उसमें थोड़े और भी राइट्स होते हैं, ठीक है. तो जब हमने फॉर्क कर लिया तो हमको चेंज तो इसकी मास्टर ब्रांच पे करना है ना यार. तो चेंज तो हमने मर्ज भी इसी मास्टर ब्रांच में करा है.
अच्छा. लेकिन
हमने अपनी लोकली जो मास्टर ब्रांच थी उस पर मर्ज नहीं करा हमने, तो हमें वहां से भी तो हमें लेटेस्ट कोड चाहिए ना हर पर्टिकुलर इंस्टेंट पे. हाँ, तो हमने क्या करा कि हमको इन शॉर्ट अब ओरिजिनल रेपो की मास्टर ब्रांच से अपनी कंप्यूटर पे जो मास्टर ब्रांच है उस पे हमें कोड लाना है जैसे तैसे।
अच्छा
तो हमारा एक रिमोट होता है ओरिजिन, दैट वाज ऑलरेडी पॉइंटिंग टुवर्ड्स द फॉर्क्ड रिपोजिटरी, तो हम ओरिजिन तो यूज कर नहीं सकते,
अच्छा, इसलिए हमने अपस्ट्रीम
तो
यूज
हमने
किया,
एक नया
ठीक है।
रिमोट बनाया अपस्ट्रीम जो हमारी ओरिजिनल रेपो को पॉइंट कर रहा है, जो फॉर्क्ड नहीं है, वो वाली रिपोजिटरी है जिससे हमने फॉर्क
अच्छा
करा है।
हाँ, आगे समझ गए, बस ये डाउट था, अपस्ट्रीम हमने यूज किया, ठीक है ठीक है।
हाँ, फिर हमने क्या करा, अपस्ट्रीम से कोड फेच कर लिया, और जो कोड फेच करा उसको हमने अपनी मास्टर ब्रांच से मर्ज कर दिया।
हाँ हाँ, सही है सही है।
ठीक है।